Okay, so our next book is going to be Degas and the Little Dancer by Laurence Anholt. Laurence Anholt has been described as one of the most versatile writers for children today and was included in the Independent on Sunday top 10 children's author in Britain. From his home in Lyme Regis, he's produced more than 90 children's titles, which are published in dozens of languages around the world, many of them in collaboration with his wife, Catherine. So here's a man who's written over 90 children's books, many of which are about artists and children in their lives. In the middle of a big room of a famous art museum is a beautiful sculpture of a little dancer. She stands with one foot forward, her hands clasped behind her back. She looks tired and a bit sad. The sculpture was made more than 100 years ago by an artist called Degas. The guard who looks after the room in the museum has a story to tell about the little ballerina. When it's raining outside and people have nowhere else to go, someone's sure to ask who she was. Her name's Marie, says the guard. I look at her standing there every day, and I think I know her pretty well. There she is from the back with the ribbon in her hair, right? You can't see the front of her right now. Her hands are clasped behind her back. Marie and her parents were very poor, but Marie dreamed of only one thing. She wanted to be a dancer. More than anything, not just any dancer. She wanted to dance at the Paris Opera House. She wanted to be the most famous dancer in the world. Marie's father was a tailor and her mother took in laundry. They worked hard every day and saved their money until one day Marie was ready to take the entrance exam for the big ballet school. Her father made her a special tutu and her mother wished her luck and tied a long peach-colored ribbon in her hair. So she was given a tutu and she said she could go and she could try to apply to get into the school. At the exam, Marie danced as she'd never danced before, and the old ballet teacher seemed to like her. If we give you a place, he said, you will have to practice very hard. I know, said Marie. I want to be the most famous dancer in the world. Everyone laughed. We'll see about that, said the old teacher. And that reminds me of my granddaughter, Emma, who wants to be a ballerina in the New York City Ballet. And she has a famous ballerina that she looks up to and wants to be just like her. It was the most exciting day of Marie's life. She couldn't wait to tell her family all about it. But just as she was about to rush home, something happened that almost spoiled her happiness. At the back of the big room, someone started shouting. A girl ran past Marie in tears. She was followed by a fierce, gray-bearded man in expensive clothes. Why can't you keep still, he shouted. How can I draw you when you keep moving? Marie was frightened. Who is that bad-tempered man? She whispered to the girl beside her. You'll soon find out if you're a pupil here. That's Degas, a painter of horsers and dancers. He treats them all the same. So he wasn't very nice to the people he painted, but that's what he did. He came to the dance school to paint the dancers. Oh, there's birds making all sorts of sounds out here. It sounds like a jungle. At the museum, a large crowd had gathered around the statue of a little ballerina. Look at her, said the guard. Look at little Marie. I'll tell you something. If you stare at her long enough, she almost seems to move. So did she get her place at the ballet school, someone asked. Oh, yes, said the guard. She got her place all right. She worked hard, practicing her pirouettes and whatnot. In fact, she became so good that the old teacher began to talk about giving her a star part in the Christmas ballet at the Opera House. So all her dreams are coming true, aren't they? Marie's dream was coming true, and even old Degas didn't seem quite so frightening every day. He turned up with his top hat and sketchbooks, muttering and cursing everyone. He worked furiously with colored chalk, sketching the girls, teachers, and the musicians. Keep still, he would shout. Not like that, like this. Then he would show some poor dancer how to hold a pose or skip properly. Marie had to try hard not to laugh at the sight of the smartly dressed painter balancing on one leg. So he was showing them how he wanted them to pose. That'd be a hard pose to stay in a long time for someone to draw you, right? If you had to stand with one leg up. That'd be terrible. I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd have to hold a chair or something. Sometimes Marie caught a glimpse of his sketches, and what she saw made her gasp. The drawings almost glowed with color. They were studies of all the girls, but they didn't look like ballet stars. Degas had drawn them, chattering, stretching, tying their laces, adjusting their straps, even reading a newspaper. So she's quite shocked that the paintings that this man has done, or the drawings, show the girls doing things other than dancing. She thought he would show her dancing. Marie loved dancing more than anything. She was the first to arrive in the morning and the last to go home at night. One day, everything started to go wrong. Marie's father became ill, and soon he couldn't work as a tailor anymore. Her mother took in extra washing, but there simply wasn't enough money to pay for Marie's art classes, her dance classes. Her dream of becoming a famous dancer began to fade. Ooh, do you think she's going to be able to continue her classes? I would love to help you, Marie, said the kind old teacher, but unless you have lessons every day, I'll have to give the main part to someone else. Perhaps we could find a little work for you sweeping the floor of the theater, or... And then a gruff voice interrupted them. Excuse me. I will give you a few francs if you pose for me, but you'll have to work very hard and not chatter. Do you understand? So he's going to pay her money to just pose for him, and then hopefully she can continue to take her dance classes, right? So Degas began to draw Marie every afternoon. He made her stand absolutely still for such a long time that Marie almost cried, but she didn't dare to complain. The money was not enough. It paid for a doctor for her father, but not for the classes that Marie needed. At the Christmas ballet started to grow near, she knew she would never be able to be the chance to be the same. As the Christmas ballet drew near, she knew she would never have the chance to become famous. When the big night came, poor Marie was not even allowed to watch because Degas wanted to work late. While the other girls laughed and chattered and made themselves ready, Marie was left at home with the artist. More irritable than ever, he made her stand looking up at the ceiling with her hands clasped behind her back. All the dancers were used to this pose, but as Degas worked on, Marie's neck began to ache. He's still working and the ballet show's going on, and she's not even able to attend it, and she can't even watch it, let alone be in it. How do you think she felt? Very tired and very sad that her dreams weren't coming true, right? So maybe that's why the artist, when he made this clay sculpture of her, he showed her with such a sad face. So don't you feel a little bit sorry for her? I do. It was getting late. Excuse me, Monsieur Degas, Marie whispered. I'll have to go home soon. My father's ill and my family will be worried. Family, shouted Degas. Your family will be worried? Do you know who'll worry about me? No one, that's who. I have only my work for company, and now my eyesight's leaving me. I'm sorry, Monsieur, I don't understand. Degas worked in silence for a while. He pulled out some clay and began to work furiously with his long fingers. Then Marie saw a tear in the artist's eye. No, he said more gently, how could you understand? Tell me, Marie, what's the most important, precious thing to a painter? Your eyes, Monsieur? Exactly. My eyes, like a dancer's legs. You understand? And my poor eyes are sick. Marie, that's why I'm working with clay, because I can hardly see what I'm doing anymore. Suddenly, Marie felt very sad for the bad-tempered artist. So was she sad for herself or sad for the artist? She was sad for the artist. Yeah, she started thinking about him instead of herself. Could this be why he was always so angry? I'm very sorry, she said, and she meant it. Then Degas did something Marie'd never seen him do before. He looked at her and he smiled. It's probably his first smile he ever smiled in his life. I'm sorry too, Marie, he said, but look at the sculpture. It's the best thing I've ever done. Thank you, my little dancer. Now you must go home. Marie stepped down. Her legs were weak. She untied the peach-colored ribbon from her hair and gave it to the old artist. Then she put away her dancing clothes and ran home to her family. So she gave him the peach-colored ribbon, not for any wrong reason, but because she felt sorry for him and she wanted him to have it. And he was so happy for her that she posed for him, so grateful because he loved his sculpture. He'd never done anything that nice before. That was his best work ever. In the theater, crowds clapped and cheered as the curtain came down on the Christmas ballet. Outside, under a pale streetlight, an old, nearly blind artist struggled home all alone. In his hand, he clutched a peach-colored ribbon. So there's Degas going home in the wintry night, holding on to that ribbon that Marie gave him. And she never did find her dream, someone asked. Wait, said the guard. The story isn't quite finished. 2 years later, Marie was helping her mother with the laundry when a letter arrived at 36 Rue des Doigts. It's for you, Marie, said her mother. Marie tore open the envelope. Inside was a ticket to an invitation to a big art exhibition. On the invitation, someone had scribbled, for Marie, my little dancer. Who do you think sent the invitation? Do you think it was Degas? Marie and her mother went to the show. The building was very crowded. The walls were hung with brilliantly colored paintings, but the biggest crowd was gathered around the large glass box. Marie pushed through the crowd. "Look!" she gasped. "It's me!" Degas had dressed the sculpture in real clothes. No one had ever seen anything like it before. In her hair was the peach-colored ribbon. Look at Marie. She's preserved forever. Do you think she'd like that? Would you like that? At the museum, the last person had gone home, and the guard wipes a little dust from the dancer's shoe. "Good night, Marie," he says, and he walked away, whistling to himself. As the keys turn in the lock, the little dancer almost seems to smile. The rain on the museum's roof sounds like 1,000 clapping hands, clapping for Marie, the most famous dancer in all the world. So did her dreams come true? Was she the most famous dancer in all the world now? Yeah, not quite the way she wanted to, though, right? It's a nice story.